Hello and welcome to the Classical Guitar LPs podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Powell. This episode is going to be a very brief and simple update on why there's been some radio silence over the past months with the Classical Guitar LPs podcast, and I thought I would put it in this special episode context so that if those were interested as to why I've had this hiatus, this pause of output, in case you'd like to know, and if you'd like to just skip over and get to the next episode, you can do that as well. So if this episode is not for you, go to the next one, which I'm happily going to be also putting out very soon as well. Back in 2008, I was invited to become the director of music for Capitol Hill Lutheran Church in Des Moines, Iowa. That was a post I held from 2008 to 2015. During my time there, in addition to my teaching and my performing schedule of other things, what was on my plate week to week was picking out the various anthems and introits and things like that for the choir. I was in charge of the handbell choir. I did a pretty sizable amount of music with the children as well during my time there. And really, between that, and we also had a very thriving fine arts series that I did not start by any means, but I did help to carry the torch on with that, called Music in the East Village. It was a very, very lovely project that congregation had. And so I was in that position until 2015, when I was invited to come over to do essentially the same thing at Mount Olive Lutheran, which is a Lutheran Church of the Missouri Synod congregation across town. Our oldest child, Nadia, was attending the school at that time, and it made sense to move over there with her. And I held that post up until this past summer. July 31st of 2024 was my last day of being the Director of Worship and Music Ministries there. And so in that position, it was a little bit different. I was still in charge of the music ensembles and such. This was a smaller congregation, but yet had an active praise and worship team, if you would like to call it that. It was more of the guitars in church type thing. We also have a traditional service as well with the organ, and so my job with that was, again, when we had cause to do handbells, we did that for a while. COVID-19 really knocked the wind out of the sails with that congregation for a couple of things, like the handbell choir as well as the choir that was existent. Some very great singers there at both places, of course, but in any case, we really didn't bounce back from that ever. And anyway, to make a long story short, in 2016, I was also invited to come over and to do teaching at the Mount Olive Lutheran School, where at this time both of my kids were attending, and that, in addition, made a lot of sense. My wife, Kimberly, she has taught preschool there since 2014, and so we were all kind of under the same roof, and it was just a really wonderful time, and it still is a very wonderful time. What has happened here is that our school has grown tremendously, and we went from hovering around 100 students in the first couple of years I was there to now I believe our numbers are like 240 or something like that. And so my music teaching has just sort of exponentially ballooned, and that's the reason for my church position to have gone away from me, and they have me just being the music instructor. I so far am absolutely enjoying this process, although it has been very, very different. My normal workflow, from week to week involved my classes, getting ready for performances and things like that. And what's ended up happening is, about midweek, Wednesday, Thursday, I would start to prep for the Sunday thing, and then that, those performances and making sure titles were in here and slideshow was prepared here. And all of that stopped on the 31st of July, which also happens to be my wife's birthday, which was really interesting. That whole thing was a really interesting thing. And now that it's almost the 31st of October, it probably will be by the time this is released. In fact, I'm recording this on the 30th. It has been a season of change in our household. Am I okay with this new normal? Yes, I am. It's very different. It's very different not putting your energy into into things that other people get to enjoy. And those of you who are musicians may understand that. Those of you who maybe just simply enjoy listening to music, you may not quite understand what I mean by that. It is very different, and I can tell that for a very long time that my family has had to make their own adjustments in terms of the busy times of the week when Dad was busy, and it's very different now. We are enjoying the time tremendously. Our children are growing. The oldest is a freshman in college at this point. The youngest is an 8th grader, going to soon be a freshman, and they're doing their things, and it's truly wonderful. We have a new puppy at the home, so now instead of a 2-dog circus, it's a 3-dog circus, and so all that to say, it has been a minute since I've put out an episode of the Classical Guitar LPs podcast, and there you have all the reasons why. I just thought it would be fair for the audienceship to know that, and to be fairly, I guess, informed as to the reason for that. My hope, of course, is that this will be a regular bit of output. My goal is in 2025 to put out a very consistent workflow, and I'm not sure what that is. I don't know if that's going to be 2 episodes a month, 1 episode a month, 1 a quarter. That seems a little dull and boring, but in any case, there will be some sort of regularity brought back to this, because really I was finding holes in the time of my day, and it was kind of a fun time to escape to. And anyway, so there you have it. That's the absolute bare bones why Aaron Powell has not been on the air with Classical Guitar LPs podcast. In any case, this special episode is being recorded on October 30th. I'm also recording the newly released episode on the same day, and it is the Spanish music for guitar by Toroba, the Toroba Concierto de Castilla, and other selected solo works, and the guitarist is Renata Tarrago, and it's a pretty good recording. I'm excited about it. So thanks a lot for listening to this special episode, and tune into all the back episodes, please, and check out the new one as it drops. We'll see you around.